Good morning, Malta and Gozo, and welcome to another episode of Lovin Daily. My name is John-Paul Sparty. Today I'm joined by Paula Kauki, and these are your 5 headlines for today. A Filipino woman has been arrested after allegedly stabbing a man in Meleha last night. HAMRUN Spartan fans hold another mass street party as the club is crowned Malta champions. Architects found guilty of MIRIAM Pache's involuntary murder get community service. One and Net News have made it to the European Parliament, and ROSIANNE CUTAJAR has proposed legislation for surrogacy. Make sure to stick around for the end of the episode. We'll have a special interview with Sammut Nurminen, a high-intensity trainer and ultra-run here in Malta, about to take on an incredible new challenge.
Nibdew l-ewwel storja Filippina ta' 44 sena tinsab taħt arrest wara illi jidher li hija suspettata ewlenija ta' qtil ta' raġel ta' 44 sena wkoll mill-Mellieħa illi instab mejjed dan il-lejl jidher illi dal-omiċidju seħħ f'triq il-Fortizza l-Mellieħa. Id-dettalji jew il-kuntest ta' dan l-argument jew x'wassal għall-omiċidju għadhom daqsxejn mhumiex ċari, però jidher li dan ir-raġel miet b'daqqiet ta' sikkina. L-informazzjoni that is developed by JP.
Absolutely, yeah. So from what police reports indicate, the woman called in around 12:45 a.m. last night, saying that she had got into an argument with somebody and that she needed some help. Police went to her, took her to the hospital for her injuries, and then took her to headquarters for further investigation. At around 4 a.m., she revealed to them that she had used a knife in the argument and also the whereabouts of where the argument happened with this man. Police went on site in Meleha and found the man lying in the kitchen, covered in a sheet and with stab wounds to his neck and chest. They also apparently found 2 knives, believed to be the murder weapons in this case. Quite a shocking and devastating story. The woman is currently being held at police headquarters as the main suspect, but yes, this is a developing story and we'll update you as it comes along. Moving on to our second story, now concerning more HAMRUN Spartan celebrations, as fans took to the streets last night to celebrate the official crowning of the club as Malta champions. I don't know if you saw, Paula, the videos and photos published last night, but it essentially looked like a festa was happening with HAMRUN Spartans. Flares and whatnot, but I mean, we're not surprised, right? Because HAMRUN Spartans fans...
Kull darba li ġvi ma nsegwix futbol, imma dis-sena żammewni aġġornata bl-istadji differenti tal-kampjonat għaliex kull darba li jmissu ma xi ħaġa l-HAMRUN għajt li ser ikun hemm diżrispett totali lejn il-liġijiet u r-regoli tal-COVID. Kull darba rajni għadi.
Absolutely, like you said, they broke COVID-19 regulations clearly. In fact, police were just standing by. There's photos uploaded where you can see police just watching. I mean, there's not much they can do with huge crowds like that, but at the same time, obviously, not a good sign, especially for a country that's doing so well with the pandemic and on a vaccination campaign. You don't want to be hearing this news. Meanwhile, other media industry, Malta's entertainment industry has obviously reacted to this. Currently, people like Howard Keith and Tony Attard obviously being quite upset that they were stopped from protesting because of social distancing measures. But in this case, fans are taking to the streets in celebration. Hopefully we see some consequences and fines being dished out, but from previous experiences, it never really tends to be the case. Only a few people get fined. Obviously it's super hard to control large crowds like this, but hopefully this is the last of that.
I think
that's it. They're officially the champions, even though we've known for a couple of months now. I think there's nothing else to celebrate, but you never know.
U rispett li l-proxmu, ġifiri dik is-saying I'm all right, but sorry. You, Jack, it is exactly so the slogan tal-HAMRUN u netnajt xej ġdid. Anyway, marru l-istorja li miss il-bira il-Maġistrat ġew mifsud ordna l-Periti Rodri Camilleri ta' 37 sena 480 sija ta' community service u flimkien ma' multa ta' 10,000 euro l-Anthony Manjon 400 sija ta' community service u 8,000 euro multa wara instabu ħatja ta' qtil involontarju ta' Miriam Pace. Issa sentenza bħal di ġiet milquha ħafna kif ħabat ndiskrivi insomma, il-bira ħrajtu fuq social media ħafna nisdu jikkommentaw li dis-sentenza ma kienx biżejjed għal dawn il-periti u kien hemm ċertu rabja online biss però il-familja ta' Miriam Paċ ħarġu on the record jgħidu li jismaw ma qatt ma kellhom xi tip ta' vendetta personali lejn dawn il-periti u li huma qatt ma talbu li daw il-periti jispiċċaw il-ħabs. Jiġifieri jiena nemmen li la kuntent il-familja ta' Miriam Paċ li għaddew minn traġedja għandi nkun kuntenta jiena u inta li fl-aħħar mill-aħħar ġustizzja magħhom kellha ssir.
Absolutely. No, they've been dragged through the dirt with this one. Obviously, over a year of pain and trauma and heartbreak. Obviously, they're happy to sentence and so be it. But I think the rest of Malta was a bit let down by the fact that they just got community service.
Della montasijat ta' community service ma tantx naħseb ma tantx għattina ta' sentenza simili. Seħali għalli da fuq til involontarju ma qatt ma rajna maġistrat li ta' stanzi għat community service. Forsi din naraw ukoll bidla fil-kultura fis-sentenzi tal-qrati.
Hopefully so. Moving on to our fourth story now, and if you're in the European Parliament walking around, you might see One and Net News being played on the TV screens, and that's thanks to David Casa, who, through his work, has now made it possible that all members of the European Parliament will be able to watch One and Net News for the latest updates and news on Maltese politics. This was an initiative introduced by the nationalist MEP, who took to Twitter yesterday to quite proudly say that members of the European Parliament can now tune into Maltese politics by the incredibly impartial TV stations, news stations we have here, One and Net News. Obviously, he also kind of said that he wanted to get PBS and TVM and TVM2 up in the European Parliament for MEPs to watch, but I don't know, do you think this is what do you make of this news?
Il-prinċipju ta' ugwaljanza, ġifieri jekk pajjiżi oħra għandhom l-istazzjonijiet kollha fil-Parlament Ewropew mela anke aħna kienu jkollna l-istess fl-istess ħin ma nemminx li di kienet xi ħaġa li kienna nissiltu għaliha, nemmen li l-membri parlamentari Ewropej għandhom ħafna iktar affarijiet importanti xi jagħmlu bħalissa fil-Parlament Ewropew. Bekk tipo vera ma.
Yeah, and let's not forget as well, obviously, that One and Net News, as I sarcastically said before, are not the most impartial media houses out there when it comes to reporting on Maltese politics. In fact, Lovin Malta has instituted constitutional proceedings against the 1991 law, which basically says the way they're allowed to operate is unconstitutional. And that is obviously ongoing. We haven't forgotten about that, and we'll keep aiming to kind of change that for the betterment of our media in the future.
L-aħħar storja llum Rosjan CUTAJAR fil-Parlament appellat sabiex ikun hemm bidla fil-liġi li tħalli li f'pajjiżna jsir legali surrogacy hija saħqet u għandha raġun illi hawn Malta drittijiet tan-nisa li jitwildu bla utru huma kompletament minsija u huwa suġġett kważi tabu ħadd ma jiddiskutih u illi jeħeb tal-pajjiż liberali progressiv għamilna tant avvanzi l-fatt li għaz diskussjoni fuq dawn in-nisa fuq dan tip ta' servizz għadha ma bedix hija xi ħaġa li ma nistax nifhem. Imma bħal dejjem is-suġġetti li għandhom x'jaqsmu mas-saħħa riproduttiva tan-nisa mhumiex priorità, mhumiex prinċipju, ma nafx insejħilha u kulħadd jivvota kontrihom. Aħna ma nsejniex.
I definitely agree with you in that, and I'm ashamed to say that that is the case here. Qatar also called for Malta's IVF laws to be updated, which when you think about it is also quite strange when you hear that the fact that we don't have pre-implementation genetic diagnosis, which means parents can screen for disorders before choosing which embryo would be implanted. This is still something that we don't see today, and it kind of shows how backwards we are with the mentality of women's health in Malta, like you mentioned. With that being said, this brings us to the end of our news segment, but make sure to stick around for a special interview with Steve Sammut Nurminen, a high-intensity trainer here in Malta and one of Malta's few ultra runners who's going to partake in an incredible challenge next month. Stick around to find out more, but before that, here's a quick break.
In Malta, we don't say.
Welcome back to Lovin Daily. We're now joined by Steve Sammut Nurminen. Steve, thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Steve is a high-intensity trainer here in Malta, as well as a ultra runner, and he's got this incredible Instagram account where he's kind of just promoting getting people to move and exercise on a day-to-day basis. You might have heard of it. It's Move with Steve. But I think you're about to embark on your biggest challenge to date this month, actually, towards the end of this month, when you embark on an ultra run across Malta 3 times for a total of 105 kilometers.
That's it.
For people who kind of just can't fathom what that looks like or what it is, explain to them exactly what an ultra run is and what you're about to do.
So basically, an ultra run is considered to be anything beyond the marathon distance, which is around 42 kilometers. So anything beyond that is an ultra run. Around 2 months ago, I ran across Malta twice for a distance of around 73 kilometers. So that was my first proper ultra run. And I just decided to sort of take it a step further, challenge myself. I mean, that's the main scope behind it, just to personally give myself a challenge. And at the same time, sort of motivate people, inspire people, even if it's just one person, to get out there and do something, you know, just move. It doesn't have to be running, it can be any activity, even just a walk. But I mean, we know the obesity rates in Malta, you know, I don't need to go into any details there.
Right.
So it's just important to keep active.
So what is your run entail then? Where are you starting off and where are you ending?
This time I'll be starting in Berzabuja. Running my way up to Chirkowa, a lot of uphills, running back down to Berzabuja, and then back up to Chirkowa.
And how long does that take you, or estimated time?
I'm aiming for a time of around 10 hours.
So 10 hours of, is it straight running, or are you allowed to kind of walk some of the distance, fast walk? How does it exactly work?
The aim is to run continuously. I'll have a stop at each point, so I'll stop in Chirkowa the first time, so that's after around 35 kilometers. Then I'll stop back in Berzabuja, basically just to change my shoes and my clothes. I'm anticipating that I'll be drenched in sweat. Yeah,
because you're doing it in the midst of summer, right? So
this is it, 17th July.
17th July, so less than a month away, in fact, a couple of weeks away. Midst of summer, it's going to be scorching hot, but you are doing it at night, right? So at least you avoid the sun.
Exactly, and that's the whole aim behind it. So I'll be starting at 8 p.m. and working my way through the night. I'll have a team with me as well. I've got 8 friends joining in, so they'll be making sure that I stay hydrated, and even nutrition-wise as well.
Of course.
There'll be at least 2 guys following me all the way.
And what does your training look like at the moment? So you're just 16 days out from this big run. You might very well be the first person in Malta to complete this kind of the trek. How does one prepare both physically and mentally for a task like this?
In fact, it's interesting you said that, because to prepare mentally is very difficult. In fact, next week I'm going to be starting some yoga sessions. It's the first time ever. Mostly to work on my breathing, you know, get some meditation done as well. But you can only prepare physically. Mentally, on the day, you have so many emotions that go through your head when you're running such a distance. It's crazy. You start talking to yourself as well. Like, you can't really prepare mentally.
Right.
You have to do the best training you can. Again, I'm doing at the moment very short runs, nothing more than 30 kilometers. And I'm training at different times of the day just to get acclimated to the different temperatures and so on, work on my breathing. Okay,
excellent. So you already did you said a 75-kilometer ultra run in Malta.
Yes.
I have to ask, during those 75 kilometers, did you ever think of giving up? And obviously you completed it, so what pushed you to get over those thoughts?
I had a lot of conversations with myself, at the risk of sounding crazy. This is what I did. I never thought of giving up. Even if I had to walk to the end, I would have done that. It's my character. Once I set my mind to something, you know, I want to get it done. But yeah, it is very mentally challenging, especially when you start feeling pain in your knees and you still got 25, 30 kilometers to go to overcome that thought, you know, those thoughts, you know, telling you to stop and so on is very challenging. but it's never an option. And Neela Juice.
I was going to say, Neela Juice has completed a world record swim of 125 kilometers just the other day, and you're about to embark on this. Do you gain inspiration from people like him?
100%.
What do you learn from someone who like an ultra athlete like that? Like,
definitely. In fact, even when I did the 75-kilometer run, he came to mind a couple of times as well. I was thinking to myself, if the guy can swim from Sicily, to Malta and vice versa, why can't I just complete this race? So yeah, I definitely look up to people like Neela Juice. They're a huge inspiration.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, these kind of feats always bring back to me this kind of, I always think of the limitations we impose on ourselves, and when someone like Neela Juice or yourself kind of breaks these barriers, it shows just how much we can push the human body and our capabilities and whatnot. What kind of do you hope to inspire with, how do you plan to inspire people with what you're doing? What do you hope it will achieve, rather than just being a personal feat? What do you kind of, is the wider message you want to put out there for people?
When people have those days where they convince themselves that they don't have 15, 20 minutes to get something done, maybe they just need to dig a little deeper and just think, it's just 15 to 20 minutes. Everyone's got the time to do something. It doesn't have to be long hours at a stretch, not at all. So this is my scope behind the run. This
is your kind of your mantra, right? Your philosophy is just to move, right? That's why you move with Steve.
Move and no excuses. I love saying that time and time again.
Yeah, and you train and you move every day, right? You're out exercising
7 days a week.
7 days a week, multiple times a day, even just moving, correct?
Hours on end. Minimum of 3 hours a day training, just doing something, getting out there. It doesn't have to be running, I do HIIT, running, swimming, walking, just anything, it's important.
And will people be able to follow you on the evening you go on your ultra run?
Yes. As I mentioned, there'll be a team of around 8 guys joining me on the run. Again, they'll be nice and comfortable in their car.
With the AC on?
For sure, that's it. But yeah, they're going to be keeping everything updated on my Instagram page. There'll be live stories as well. There'll be a couple of competitions as well for people to join in on.
Amazing.
So we're still planning everything. By next week, we'll have everything in place.
By next week, and then the week after, you'll be out in undertaking your 105-kilometer run. Steve, wish you all the best on it. We hope that you make it through. I have no doubt you will, whether you're crawling on all fours or not. I'm sure it's going to be an incredible feat, and and hopefully it inspires a lot of people to, like you said, just move. Thank you for coming in today.
Thank you for having me again.
Appreciate you being here, and for everyone who tuned in, have a day full of lovin'.